Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lore Friday for August 14th, 2020. I'm your host, DM Galabond. Alright, and today on Lore Friday, we are going to continue our examination of the adventures that make up the Princes of the Apocalypse campaign. And this week, we're going to be looking at the Iceshield Orcs. Alright, so let's go ahead and get on with that. And we will move right over here to the Princes of the Apocalypse campaign. Alright, Iceshield Orcs is a 4th level adventure. And this one really is more of an adventure because it takes place over 3 locations and has 3 specific encounters that are involved in it. There's 2 different farmsteads and then a wagon out on the road. Now, the playing this as it's written is a little bit problematic because of the fact that you always have players that may want to do something different. So you have some NPCs that can really be used to help steer the players in the direction that you want them to go. So let's take a look at how this unfolds. The activities of the cults have stirred up all kinds of things in the Somber Hills area, and one of those is the bands of orcs, the Iceshield Orcs. Because of certain things that the cults are doing, the Iceshield Orcs have seen signs. The shamans have seen signs that they take to mean Grumsh is pushing them to war. And so they are going and making more organized raids against the outlying farms that are in this region. So they reside in lodges that are spread out and around a day away from the forest that's controlled by the elves in this area, the high forest. So they raid these farmsteads, of course, for supplies and sometimes for slaves. And so they take those back to their lodges. Now, the some of the squads of orcs are taking to wanting to try to take over some of these farms. But that's a detail that they put in here, but it's curious that they add it because it doesn't really play into this particular adventure. So the first thing that happens in the adventure is the party is traveling along, or if they wind up getting stuck somewhere, you can have word reach them about the Andoril farm. Now, the Andoril farm is not pinpointed somewhere on a map. I mean, I'm sure somebody has gone out and put it on a map somewhere. If you look at an online map of the Sword Coast, you'll probably find it somewhere. But for the purposes of this adventure, it's a little bit nebulous where it is. So it can be wherever you need it to be in the region, as long as it's somewhere over near the high forest. And it can be a target of one of these attacks. So orcs attacked, taking several farm personnel prisoner and setting the place ablaze. They left one other person there for dead, but of course the person isn't fully dead, and the party finds them as they come upon the burning farm. So you either either they stumble across this, the party stumbles across this while they're on their travels, or you can have word of these attacks, and maybe somebody from the Andoril farm has sent word and say, hey, please come out to the Andoril farm. We're concerned about potential attacks. And of course, they get there and, oh, too late. They already got attacked. And then this encounter happens early in the day. As they travel, spot smoke. It gives you some flavor text to read. And the burning farm is within 5 minutes. And then as they top a rise, they see the house on fire. And they go to the house and they find the farmer coming to consciousness and coughing. And when they get within 60 feet, they can hear him. And he starts crying for help because he can't get out of the burning house on his own. So as soon as they find him, he starts panicking about his wife. Search will not reveal the wife because the wife has been kidnapped along with the two farmhands by the orcs. So that's the first location and first encounter, if you will. The encounter is not a fight; it's more of a rescue. You go and you rescue this person, and you find out that he's concerned about his wife. And you look around and you find there's nobody else there, but there's signs that people have been taken away, and there's wagon tracks, and you can go and follow the wagon tracks. And then you can catch up to them within about a half an hour. And there are orcs around. There are two human males that are the farmhands that have collapsed. And there's a very pregnant human woman in the back of the wagon that has clearly, suffered some injuries and everything at the hands of the orcs. So the party has they can try to fight, and certainly if the party is noticed, the orcs are going to attack. They have found the farmers easy prey, so they're kind of a little bit full of themselves, and they think they can take on anyone, including a fully armed party of adventurers, and that may not go so well since it's designed as a 4th level encounter. So they fight that, and they free the humans. And then this is where a party of adventurers, if that's all there was, the party of adventurers will be, well, let's figure out where these orcs are going and go back to their place and mess them up. Well, that's not what the humans want. And the humans are in such bad shape that they really need a place to go and recover. They can't go back to their house. So they have heard about the Delmon Ranch, which is not too far away, where other farmers are going to gather, and sort of a citizens' militia is being put together to fight against these orcs. So the idea is take the family there to the Delmon Ranch, and then of course it's not too long before a large war party of orcs shows up, and the PCs have to basically act as field commanders to help fight off this invasion. Now, they give us a nice little map of the Delmon Ranch here, and there's 3 buildings, the house, a forge, and the barn, so 2 outbuildings. There's some wooden palisades around. There's this earthwork berm over here that can be used for defense, and you'll notice that this map has these odd little pale lines on it. Well, that is because this is supposed to be different sectors. And so you can deploy different defenders to each of the sectors, and you can have the attackers attack in different sectors, and then it gives you the ability to run the combat as a large scale combat where um, you identify every individual and every orc, and then let the players control some of the NPCs, NPC defenders, and the DM runs all of the orcs. Or you can focus on the battle that the PCs are having and then kind of narrate everything else. I would kind of lean towards that. Unless you just have a group that really, really gets into the mechanics, or people that really want to try their hand at being sort of field commanders for um, a unit of NPCs, then you could go and you could say, okay, all right, well, you're in charge of these NPCs. So when your turn comes, you decide what they're going to do. And then there's the enemies over there that you guys are dealing with. And if they get to a point where they wind up defeating their enemies, well, this is designed to have an ongoing multiple waves of attacks. And so that's another thing that makes this encounter a little bit different, is it's actually kind of like a siege mentality. Um, and they give you the Delmon family. So there's Kerbin, uh, and there's the his oldest child, his wife, uh, or oldest child, Perd, who's a male, and then Perd's wife, and then the farmer's middle child, and then Kerbin's youngest son, and then the Perd and Marka's children. So they're not old enough to fight, but they're part of the kids, and of course, kids can be um, pawns that the DM can use to uh, really drive a sense of urgency into the players. By having the kids, either do something silly like sneak out and think they're going to be hero, or they get snatched out of their room by a very bold orc while people aren't looking, or something like that. So then there's the workers and guests. There's halfling scout, a human knight. There's a couple of dwarves, and then 18 farm and ranch folk. 12 of whom are able-bodied and commoners that wield, normal weapons. And then the siege takes place, and there's several stages of the siege. There's an initial surge. Scouts appear on the low ridges around the compound. Bands of orcs spread out, surrounding the buildings. At the blast of horn, they all rush simultaneously, and there's a 40 of the orcs in total. So that's a fairly large force. They outnumber the defenders minus the party by a little less than 2 to 1. So probably 1.5 to 1 by the time you throw the party in there. An Orog and an Eye of Grumsh are the commander and second in command of this attacking force. Then they throw javelins at any visible targets when they rush up to within javelin range. Then they charge to close the distances and attack. And after 2 or 3 rounds, they fall back. And that goes on several different times. Then they throw out a smokescreen later in the day. And then in the night, they'll start a fire in one of the buildings. And then finally, the next dawn is when reinforcements in the form of the elves from the high forest arrive. And with the arrival of those elves, the siege is broken, and the orcs are all dealt with, and then there's a little bit of treasure that can be divided up. All right, well, this is a adventure that I kind of like the whole siege element of it and the different stages of the siege, and I think that's something that you don't often see in a lot of D&D games. I mean, mostly it's the party going out and fighting, and they don't really get a chance to interact with a whole bunch of other NPCs and be part of a larger battle. Sometimes that can be kind of fun. I've done that in a number of my games where I let the NPCs be part of a battle. I have sometimes done that as a something that uh, I did not coin it. I liberally stole it from uh, DM Rodrigo Lopez over at Critical Hit, but something that's called How the Other Half Lives, where you actually create a party of alternate characters for the players, and you have those alternate characters go and experience a different part of a large battle. I've done that before. Players seem to like it. They uh, like it as long as it feels like it's part of moving the plot forward, and that's part of the trickiness of it is you want to do how the other half lives, not just to sort of um, take time away from the main game, but do it in a way that sort of adds narrative context to the main game. If you're going to do that, this particular adventure can be dropped into any kind of homebrew game. I mean, orcs are one of the most universal enemies out there for low level parties. And if it's not orcs, you can easily swap those out for goblins or gnolls or whatever it is that's in your game world, in your homebrew game that would make sense for the areas that you are having your players explore. And then the other thing I like about it is you can use it with any edition because it's all just normal uh, humanoids and orcs. So orcs are in every edition, different types of humanoids are in every edition, so it makes it very easy. All right, and that is going to do it for our uh, look at the Iceshield Orcs. If you have played through Princes of the Apocalypse, and if you have done this particular adventure, down in the comments below, go ahead and let me know what you thought of it. Did you like this particular thing? Did you feel like it added to your experience of the game, or did you feel like this thing felt out of place compared to the rest of that adventure, the rest of that campaign? Also, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell so that you are notified every time a new piece of content drops. And in the description down below, you will find all the ways you can follow me on social media and all about the live streams that I do during the week. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you join us next week for another Lore Friday. And between now and then, hope you will be able to check out all the other content that we have on the site. We have D&D content to cover every day of the week and twice on Saturdays. All right. Thank you very much. Take care and good night, everybody.